and welcome my Aries friends. This is Jennifer from Mystic Star. I want to thank you so much for spending time with me today and watching this video. This is going to be my group reading for my Aries friends to explore Mercury Retrograde. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like we just finished Mercury Retrograde. I know it was back in October, however, it just feels like we got through that communication disruption mayhem. We're back again at Mercury Retrograde. So for the next couple of weeks, we're going to be looking at that disruption coming back. Couldn't think of a better way to kind of combat and overcome some of these challenges than exploring what we can expect from Mercury Retrograde. And we're going to look at that in this reading. But what's more is we're going to look at those tools and blessings that are going to help you overcome those challenges that Mercury Retrograde brings for us. Now the decks I'm using for this reading, I'm using the Wild Unknown Tarot and the Energy Oracle. Like always, there are links below to both these fantastic decks, so should they speak to you, you can go check them out for yourselves. Alright my Aries friends, let's see what the cards have to say today. What card represents the Mercury Retrograde for my Aries friends? Got a jumper there. Okay. The first card, the Hermit, the 9th card in the Major Arcana. And it talks about that need to go inward, that inner journey. Kind of taking us a step back from that communication itself and that need to go inwards rather than pushing yourself to doing a lot of that connection with others. And with him, the 7 of Swords. 7s are a challenging number. However, they're usually victorious. Now, the 7 of Swords is kind of a tricky card because it talks about trying to get away with a little bit more than what we should. It's that deceitful energy that we have been using to our advantage. Blowing ourselves up so we feel more important and we feel like we can accomplish more than what we may or may not be able to. When you're looking at these two cards with Mercury Retrograde, you're looking at a time where the more you're dealing with people, the harder it's going to be. When we're looking at these two cards with Mercury Retrograde, what they're saying is that Mercury Retrograde is going to be a fantastic time to do some of that inner peace, really debunk what it is we're trying to get away with and what it is we can really achieve. Because especially during the next 3 weeks, we're going to find that people are going to call you on your crap. They're going to call you on what it is you think you can accomplish. That in itself sometimes is enough to spur us forward and work on some of our pieces. However, it's going to kind of put you in a very conflictual space. The minute we're challenged on things, we have a tendency to react. We let that inner fire flare, rather than taking their words to heart and realizing that we need to do some inner work. Mercury Retrograde is going to highlight that importance in a big way. The more we know about ourselves, the less fluffy and inflated our lives are, because we're living that authentic peace, that authentic self. Mercury Retrograde is going to call you on that lack of authenticity. And that's going to cause a lot of conflict in your everyday. Alright, let's look at how we can overcome this. Because let's be honest, we know that Mercury Retrograde, on top of this, brings in communication problems with all electronics, interactions with individuals, and inner conversations. Another piece that this is going to highlight for you, my Aries friends, are those inner conversations. You're going to have to make sure they don't get dark, because let's be honest, we are the worst critic of ourselves. we will defluff ourselves in no time flat. We do, in some cases, need that little bit of a fluffing to come through and say, yes, I can do this. I need to work on it, but I can do it. We are our worst critics, and we challenge ourselves and deflate ourselves faster than anyone else. Yes, we do need the Seven of Swords in our lives because it challenges us to actually achieve. We set our goal out, and then it's up to us to obtain and realize those statements and goals. It gives us something to strive for. If we have nothing to strive for, then it becomes mundane. So during Mercury retrograde, we're going to have to be careful that that inner talk doesn't cut too deep. How can my Aries friends overcome got jumpers everywhere here, guys, the challenges brought on by Mercury retrograde? All right. We're starting off fantastic bang. The Fool. The 0 card in the major arcana. And it talks about that leap of faith, that trust. That trust in the universe and the trust in ourselves. Knowing that we've got this, doesn't matter how fluffy things may feel, we've got this. Part of Mercury retrograde brings this kind of uncertainty and that we feel very lost and helpless. Knowing with the Fool usually has a little backpack and he's got all the tools and all the abilities to overcome any challenge that lies in his way. Knowing that even with Mercury retrograde giving us some fairly large stumbling blocks to overcome, we have the ability to overcome it. And forward planning is a big part of that. When we know that some of these pieces are going to give us a challenge, forward planning helps. It strengthens what we can do. It gives us that courage to overcome pieces that may come forward. That unexpected becomes more expected. Father of Swords, also known as the King of Swords. That knowledge is going to be essential. Many times when we're looking at Mercury retrograde, it's not so much that we have a communication problem. It's how we're interpreting that communication. It kind of hits home real fast. What the King of Swords is very clearly saying here is that we need to function from that head center, those critical thinking skills, rather than a heart. Right now, we don't have any cups on this table. We know knowledge is going to be our stumbling block. That lack of knowledge or insight is going to be a challenge. Slowing down, using our critical thinking skills, tapping into those resources and skills that we have will help us overcome any of the challenges that Mercury retrograde will throw at you. We also have Father of Pentacles, or the King of Pentacles. The King of Pentacles talks about that growth. He has the most control, he has the most power of his suit. And that growth is going to be amazing. Like I said, the Seven of Swords gives us an opportunity to direct ourselves and find out new opportunities and grow. The King of Pentacles agrees. Really harnessing Mercury retrograde for an asset and gaining new skills and abilities so that your little bag of tools becomes fuller is an amazing opportunity. And that's what we're looking at. These two brothers are willing to work with you. What we need to do is slow down and take these stumbling blocks for what they are. Learning opportunities. These learning opportunities will help you grow. Now we do have double brothers here. Kings are the 14th card in the minor arcana. When you see that multiple 14, the angels are trying to tell you that you're going to be attracting something amazing into our lives. This symbolizes a time of love and spiritual growth. So we need to be careful what we're putting out there. If we're feeding that lower vibration of fear and uncertainty that Mercury retrograde does like to bring forward, we're going to bring more of that into our lives, that emotional roller coaster. However, if we use our critical thinking and put out that growth and learning opportunity, that's what we're going to get back in. The Chariot, the 7th card in the major arcana, and it talks about conquering that next conquest. And that's what we're looking at. That next step, that next conquest, that learning opportunity, the growth opportunity. The Chariot talks about using our willpower and our determination to overcome those challenges. And we're going to need that solar plexus energy to overcome challenges and obstacles that Mercury retrograde will throw at us. Because a lot of it is minor inconveniences, minor misinterpretations of what is being said. Slowing down and really looking at what's happening will help. Now we do have double sevens. We've got the Chariot and the 7 of Swords. Now in angel messages, the angels are telling you you're on the right track. You need to keep going. That meditation and reflecting on the situation will help, which is really clear with the 2 kings there. Then we have the 10 of Swords. 10s are about ending and beginning. The Swords about truth and knowledge. We are already carrying a lot of baggage with us. We've hit a number of really sharp turns and knocks along our journey. The 10 of Swords talks about carrying on no matter what baggage an event occurs or we're a part of. It's kind of hard to see in this depiction of the 10 of Swords. However, the original card that Pamela Coleman Smith drew, we have this individual, he's laying on the ground with 10 swords, similar to this, impaled into him. However, in the distance, the sun is starting to rise. That next day, that next beginning is starting. Yes, we have to carry these past pains and situations with us. The hard part being is that they're all low vibrational. They're feelings of fear, anger, and sadness. The happy events, so those high vibrational events that bring happiness, joy, and love, we don't carry like that. We actually use that energy to motivate us and push us forward. So we don't feel like we've gone through the ringer when we get up in the morning because we're carrying so much with us. We're not going to be able to touch this in Mercury retrograde. This isn't what we're looking at. We're going to gain more skills and abilities. We will eventually be able to start to lessen the severity of this. But we need to acknowledge that it's going to be there. In some situations, especially that low vibrational self-talk, is going to really aggravate these past experiences. And it's in those past experiences that we're going to have to really just call it what it is and continue on, greeting that next day. Because that next day is going to bring us that more fulfillment and joy that we're looking for. And then finally, the 5 of Cups. Now 5s are always a conflictuary number. The Cups, this is the first one we've seen about emotion and intuition. However, that's not what it's pulling into this reading. The 5 of Cups talks about not focusing in on the right aspects. When we're looking at the original card, Pamela Coleman Smith drew this woman in a dark cloak, mourning the loss of 3 overturned cups, and not paying any attention to the upright cups behind her. And it's that misdirection that's going to cause a challenge. We need to be very focused in on what is really important to us, staying in that high vibration. When we're mindful of what's happening, knowing that we've already tried a number of different things to overcome situations, we know what is working and isn't. It's important to keep in mind and keep ourselves focused on that high vibration and what is working, and working with what it is we have. And that's really what's going to help get us through the challenges of Mercury retrograde. All right, let's see what blessings we can offer. What blessings can my Aries friends embrace? We've got a lot of them for Mercury retrograde. Hostilities. This is really connected into the 5 of Swords, that kind of hostile, aggressive energy. Really correlates with the Mercury retrograde and how we're going to have misinterpretations and miscommunications. People are going to come at you with their thoughts and their ideas. We need to remain focused on what's truly important and not give in to that hostility, not give in to that aggression, taking the high road, allowing people to think and feel what they need. That critical thinking, rather than that emotional reaction, is going to be very important. Then we have Magician in the Mirror. Connects into that magician energy and kind of takes it up a little bit. We're looking at using our skills and abilities that we have innately and really balancing them out. This yin and yang effect, if you will. Using those skills and abilities, but not only to overcome challenges and gain new knowledge, but to allow yourself to work on and heal yourself. We've got to remember, the Hermit was drawn. That inner work is really important. That healing is essential. Taking things one step at a time will help. And that one step at a time is part of that healing. Contract. This again, and I like this deck because I can really relate to it with a lot of the tarot. So you're looking at the Justice card. Again, we go back to that balancing act. That need to maintain our balance and our groundedness are going to be key. We have the Kings of Pentacles and Swords. That groundedness will help. Using our head, not our heart. This also brings up some situations and problems that you're going to have with legal contracts and other contracts that you are looking at. Make sure if you're signing anything, you're really looking through it with a fine-tooth comb. You got to remember, Mercury retrograde adds a lot of challenges when it comes to communication and understanding the words and meaning of what's happening. The Garden and the Gate talks about working within. That importance of keeping your own garden tended, working on that healing. This card really reminds me of that old proverb, the grass is greener on the other side. We have to be mindful of that. It's really easy to neglect ourselves or think that others have it better off than what we do. We haven't walked in their shoes. We have the opportunity to make ourselves and our garden a lot stronger and more vibrant. That transformation and evolution is going to be amazing. When we overcome the challenges of Mercury retrograde, we really strengthen what we already have, and we gain new insight into what we could do for that next obstacle. And then just to finish off, the Oracle deck wants to make sure that you know that this is a thinking time. Really connects in to the King of Swords, and it talks about that need for knowledge and shooting from your head. Take this opportunity to gain more skills and abilities and to overcome not only the challenges of Mercury retrograde, but the challenges of life and this journey. I want to thank you so much for spending time with me today and watching this video. I hope that you found this video fun and helpful, and you're able to gain some direction and insight into what Mercury retrograde is going to bring for you. If you liked this video, please remember to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for the latest content. I have a lot more videos and exciting content coming forward. The best way to not miss any of this amazing guidance and healing is to subscribe to my channel and hit that little red bell so you don't miss a video. Also, if you enjoyed this video and want to support me in making more, I have a Patreon page with many tiers and lots of perks. In some of the tiers, the perks are private readings and healings with myself. I provided a helpful link below, so why not go check it out? Until tomorrow, my Aries friends.